Hello, I'm Janine Phakdeetham from Bangkok Post. It is a great pleasure to be with Mr. Aekniti Nititanprapas, the Director General of the Revenue Department of Thailand. We are going to discuss cryptocurrency tax today. Mr. Aekniti, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. It's a great honor to be here.
With the growing popularity of cryptocurrency in Thailand, so what are the needs and reasoning behind the capital gain tax?
People misunderstood that cryptocurrencies are taxed 15%. It's wrong. I may need these opportunities to correct it. It's 15% withholding tax. But once you combine that every year when you file annual tax, it's subject to your bracket. It can be 0%, and you can get refund 15% because your tax rate is 0%. If you have low income. If you have higher income, you can be subject to 35%. I have to refer back to 2018. There's a law stipulating that cryptocurrencies is digital asset. So once cryptocurrencies is defined as digital asset, there are three types of tax related to this issue. The first one, selling digital asset, is similar to selling normal assets. You are subject to value-added tax, similar to selling asset. So once you generate income from selling asset, you are subject to income tax. Even though you are personal income tax or corporate income tax, if you generate profit, you are subject to income tax. And thirdly, once it's subject to income tax, there are withholding tax that's related to that issue. So that 15% is stipulated by the Thai Revenue Code that is subject to withholding tax.
What are some of the obstacles and challenges do you see in collecting this tax now that 2 million people are crypto traders in Thailand?
That's right. Actually, the law that stipulated in 2018 may not be developed in the same pace as cryptocurrencies development. For example, there are three major challenges collecting cryptocurrency tax. The first one on withholding tax. Because back then in 2018, there's no exchange, listed exchange licensed by Stock Exchange Commission. But after 2018, there's exchange licensed by SEC. But exchange, they match the orders. So I buy Bitcoin from you, you sell Bitcoins, but we don't know each other. So that's why there's a problem. Withholding tax is not practical for this type of transactions. So that's the first problem.
That's why you're doing away with it too, right?
That's right. That's why we need to work out how we can handle this. That's the first issue. The second issue, second obstacle, is related to capital gain tax, how we calculate it.
Yeah, this is a big issue.
That's right. Under the Thai Revenue Code, we cannot offset loss from capital gains. So there's a concern. It's unfair. You collect gain subject to tax, but loss cannot be offset. Because in the past, capital gain tax is considered by transactions. Now we have exchange and it's trade every minute. So that's why we need to solve how we can handle, how we can offset loss to the gain. Some countries allowed to offset the loss, some countries don't. The third one is related to value-added tax. Because once you sell assets, but now you sell Bitcoins in exchange, whom to issue the invoice to, you don't know. So it's impractical as well. There are three major issues that we need to solve.
You said you have to file by March. That is coming up next month. Are there any short-term solutions that the Revenue Department offers to make paying crypto tax a little bit easier?
we trying to issue details guideline. If you trade cryptocurrencies, if you get benefit from yield farming or staking, how we can file the tax by March. So that guideline has been already issued. So it's quite clear. 32 pages, by the way, but because we like to go into details how you can file the tax. But anyway, we work with communities on that. On withholding tax, how can we collect withholding tax? Because in Thai law, it stipulates that buyer must withhold tax from the profit of sellers. So we figure out that if you don't know it, it implies that you don't need to withhold tax. The second one is a little bit difficult because of the capital gain tax to offset loss from capital gain. Because under Thai revenue code, it doesn't allow, similar to some other countries. It's considered by traders unfair. We understand it. So that's why we propose regulations, ministerial regulations, that we will allow traders to offset loss from the gain only if you are traded in exchange licensed by SEC. And by community is fair because exchange, they know the information. For example, if you trade on the exchange listed by SEC, they know your cost, and at the end of the year, exchange can support you, give you information, the loss and gain, and then you can combine information and submit and file tax. Lastly, on value-added tax, that's another difficulty that we have to work on it. Because as I said, when you sell cryptocurrencies and you subject to VAT, value-added tax, and you need to issue invoice, and you cannot do it. So that's why we will issue regulations to waive VAT if you are traded in exchange licensed by SEC as well. So basically it's VAT exemptions. And we got a lot of valuable comments. For example, there's proposals. Why don't you make it like final tax, withholding tax, to be final tax, but please lower the rate. 15% may be too high. Please lower it to say 10%, 5%, but that we need to change revenue code for that. So that's why we move that to the third phase that we have to work on. But there's some proposals, make it like final tax.
How can digital assets support the financial system without posing any systematic risk, from your opinion?
I would say technologies, blockchain technologies is very good in the sense that it can be decentralized and it can support financial system in a way that it can lower the cost to customers because a lot of Thai people especially that cannot access to finance, they need to subject to black market rates, which is very high. So I think these technologies, if we can apply it properly, it can help a lot of Thai people to access to finance. If we can consider, for example, ICO, initial coin offerings, it's similar to IPO.
Yes.
And it can promote investment, and it can promote similar to IPO. So I think that can be considered as beneficial to the country. However, in terms of your questions related to financial instabilities and also systemic risk, I think we need to work with the Bank of Thailand, who's responsible for the whole financial system. I think more importantly, the lessons I learned, I think working with community is the best, and find the common ground for supporting digital asset trading, and also trying to promote development in this digital asset to support Thai economy as a whole.
Well, Mr. Aekniti, thank you so much for speaking with me. Appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Janine Phakdeetham, your host. Thank you for watching and see you next Friday.